everyone, and welcome to this quick walkthrough of how to use the SMAC template. I am Sarah Ramaya. I'm the Associate Director of the SMAC project, and I'm very excited to be walking you through the template that we will be using for this design sprint that we're embarking on. I think it's apt to sort of walk you through how to develop this content using the template that I designed. So if you have any further questions after this, after you watch this video, please feel free to reach out to us on the SMAC team leader group, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have. So, and I'm going to use some of the examples I've been reading in the communication on the smaller groups. And so, I'm just using those as examples to sort of segue through each of these major components as we build the course. So let's start with sort of the title of this template. And so this is where we will, you would go in and let me pick one, advanced English. This is where you'd go in and, type out the title of your topic. Followed by which this section that you see where under the standard requirements, that is something that we will, that we are gathering as data for our internal use purposes, and this is not something we will be presenting out for our general public, even though we will be publishing author names and people involved in the development and review of this course. However, this is more so sort of to document the entire process and be able to do a version control. So let's start with the first, which is the editorial team. Here you would go in and type in your name if you're the primary author or the team leader for this course. Sort of pick the date when you started initiating the process of brainstorming or thinking through what you want to actually build in this course. And so that date is probably different for each one of your individual teams. Followed by which we would like to also capture the authors that participated in each of the design and development of the modules. So please update that information. The reason we wanted the WhatsApp number or the email is at any point if we want to review this content, or if there's a doubt or an area that we want to gain more clarity on, then it's easier to reach out to this specific people. Now, under the reviewer name, I think this is something Coach Rambabu can update and add the reviewer name and information, and when this course was first reviewed. And this first review date will sort of set up the date for us to identify when that second renewal or that review date is going to come up. And we're sort of looking at a 3-month rolling review period. Under the status, it's either approved or needs editing. And as a reviewer, if you are going to add a need editing comment, then please go ahead and explain within the document, or if you want to use a separate page and sort of highlight the edits that are required. This final review will have my name or a confirmation that this course or this module is ready for the public. The total duration of the course is 60 minutes, so please keep that in mind as you build this one module. So let's move on to the next section, which is the teaching time. So here I've mentioned 10 minutes per learning objective, which means that includes sort of introducing that learning objective, walking through the learning objective, and sort of identifying areas where you can reinforce learning or recall of learning. And I'll talk about this as we get into sort of each of the subsections. The next is the learning objectives. Now, under this, we are sort of looking at a minimum of 2 learning objectives and a maximum of 4 learning objectives. And under the teaching format, you're able to see sort of the format that we want to follow and sort of have standardized for each one of the modules that we are developing. All right, so let's see. The first section is the introduction and welcome. And here it's a 5-minute, the idea is to dedicate 5 minutes for this section, which means accordingly you will build content that anybody can pick up and be able to present this very module When I say anybody, it could be the team leader, it could be authors that helped develop this module, it could be me. I mean, I could pick it up and, sort of be able to present this, prepare, obviously, but then be able to use this module as a guide as I present on advanced learning or any one of the topics that we have developed. All right, so what comprises the introduction and welcome? There's the presenter introduction. You will then go on to stating the purpose of the module. Then the person that's, then you move on to stating the learning objectives and sort of the flow of the module. Now, why did I put it up here? Now, this is the teaching format that you as a team or as an individual keep in mind as you build the module. So you want anybody that picks up this handout to follow this this flow. And so, which means that you have to put on the mindset that you are building this content for somebody else to use as a guide to be able to execute the exact same things that you intend from this module. And so think about how you want this presenter to prepare for the introduction. How do you want them to state the purpose of the module? What do you want them to do before or between moving from the purpose of the module to the learning objectives? And then the flow of the module is where you would, let your attendees know what we're going to do in the next 55 minutes, because in the 5 minutes you've already taken time to introduce yourself and sort of follow the flow. When I use the word you have to think about what you want the person that's going to pick up your module and teach. It could be you, but again, keep that in mind. When you're writing as if you want somebody to pick up the module and be able to present effortlessly with minimum preparation time. All right, and then we move on to the next section, which is activating the learning. So for your learners, they've, come in with a brief idea of what this module entails or what their takeaway is. And so here's where you're going to think about activities that are intentional, that a learner will activate their learning, prime themselves for the main delivery of the content. And so we are asking you to prepare about at least a minimum of 2 activities that a presenter can pick up and sort of use in that session. All right, and then there's the main content, reflection of learning, and we've mentioned sort of what we want the presenter to follow under this section, and then there's a Q&A. So this entire module is set up for 60 minutes, and you are going to develop this for keeping that 60 minutes in mind. All right, so now let's move on to each little element that builds this module. The first section is the overview and purpose. Now, ideally, these are 2 different things, and they can be 150 words, separately. But for the purpose of this course or this activity, I've combined this with 2 things in mind. One is when you're talking about overview and purpose, this first design sprint that we are doing with SMAC is the introductory course. And so if you are a part of any one of the courses, and I'll quickly pull this up, if you are part of advanced English or women empowerment, self-empowerment, think about it on the lines of introductory course. What will a learner want to learn if they are interested in this module for the very first time, or public speaking? The reason being, as you are aware, we are building this in, and we want to expand it into a few module. So if this becomes your advanced module in public speaking, then what is the hook for a learner to come back to learning more? So think about it on those terms and make this an introductory to public speaking, or an introductory to self-empowerment, an introductory to advanced English. So I'll keep that in your brainstorming. So even before you get to the overview and purpose, which I'm sure by now your teams are already thinking along those lines. I believe some of you already, progressed, and some of the chats that I saw, people have already, are already building the learning objectives. And I apologize for bringing this to you late, but it's never late. So keep this going in your mind, introductory to your topic. So introduction to fill that gap, that blank, team building or advanced English. What would you want your learner to learn in that introductory course? All right, so now we know that we're thinking introduction for this first sprint. So what is the overview and purpose? Now this is ideally 3 parts. Okay, the first part is where as a team you identified in this introductory course, we have identified that this is a problem. So I'll pick public speaking. So in public speaking, in that introductory course, we would like a learner to, or the problem I think for new public speakers is confidence or is articulation. So pick what you think could be the introductory material for this module in public speaking. So you've identified the problem that public speakers lack confidence as a first step, or public speakers lack they're not able to put their thoughts in words. Okay, so that's your introductory idea. Or if we go to advanced English, I think advanced English is a little more, already we called it an advanced English, but you have to think about what could be introductory in advanced English, or what could be introductory in self-empowerment. So think about it on those lines. So identify one problem area that you want to address in this module. Remember, learners come because they realize or they identify within themselves a lack of that information. And so we are here to sort of provide a solution to that lack in their knowledge, right? So you want to say in this statement of purpose or in this overview and purpose, the problem, what they will learn to resolve that issue, and basically these 2 things. So you'll say the purpose of this module is to prepare learners on confidence, as they go on to a career or an interest in public speaking. And so what is your solution to that? So this module is designed to elevate your leadership style. So I've put that here. Or this module, I think there's a digital corner or kids corner. So this module is designed to, what are you trying to do? Elevate, prepare. So use an action word here, and also include the problem. So basically in the 100 to 150 words, you don't want to go into the history or the background. That's not what you want to present here. What you want to present here is a selling point. So I've opened up the sharEvery Global website here. So think about what you think will go in here in sort of the overview of the course. So you had to imagine here with me, because we don't have that built out here. But Coach Rambabu will have a fantastic graphic up here, and then he'll have advanced English down there, probably when it's scheduled. But here's where the learner will get to sort of see the overview and purpose of the course. And then when they click more, they'll get to see sort of the learning objectives, who the presenter is, and a little more information about the course. So think about the course overview as a hook for your learner to, be interested or intrigued in learning about this module or this topic. Think about it as your selling point. Think about it as a short little glimpse into what they will be, engaging in this topic. Now, a lot of times you can use words like case study. The purpose of this module, or this is a case study on women empowerment, or this is a case study on confidence building for women empowerment, or recognizing women empowerment. So if it's a case study, then your whole topic will be sort of a case study where you look at lives of different women, national, international, or women in different stages, and how they overcame a specific problem that you've identified. So the specific problem could be self-development. It could be anything. So think about that on those lines. And so you could use case study. You could say and I would encourage you to use an action word that sort of highlights what this module or this topic will address. All right, so then we'll move on to aims. Now here in the aims, it could be 1, 2, 3, but not more than 4, because the aims sort of will reflect the learning objectives. So under aims, you could say, now I've put in here, create awareness on editing tools and skills. So that could be something for digital marketing or online marketing. So very specific to what your learner will take away from the course is what you will enter or update in the aim. All right, so there we are with the overview and purpose. Very simple. Keep in mind, this is your selling point. So you want it to be very clear, very crisp, very to the point of this is what this module will address. This was the problem that we identified, and this is the solution. All right, so think about it on those lines. All right, moving on to learning objective. Now, under the learning objective, I would highly encourage you to stick to a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 4. Anything more than 4, I think we will not be able to complete, is ambitious, and we will not be able to cover in the 20 or 30 minutes that we have for this section. All right, so how do I write my learning objectives? Again, going back to the overview or the purpose, what was the problem you identified? If the problem is confidence in public speaking, then you will want to explore or identify areas around confidence. Why do people lack confidence? So that could be your first learning objective. Identifying the issue. The second learning objective could be, what is the solution to the issue of confidence building? The third could be the application. If you start off with a lower order thinking as your first learning objective, try to move towards the higher order thinking, because as a learner who comes in, I want to, go out empowered from this module. And so think about using words like identify, explore, and then move towards analyze, create, implement, because all of those are higher order thinking, where as a learner, I get to apply these learnings. And so keep that in mind as you build the learning objectives, because remember, your content is built from the learning objectives. Your reflection comes from the learning objectives. What do you want to teach your learner in that 30-40 minutes in 2 to 3 or 4 major objectives? So I would encourage you to use an action verb. And this Bloom's taxonomy is a great tool to use to identify what those action words will be at the beginning of your learning objective. So explore editing tools such as Canva, or identify templates, themes, and formats in Canva. So that takes you to the next level. First level is you were, sort of just exploring editing tools. Now, once you've taught your learner how to explore and identify a learning tool, then you move on to the next level, which is identify templates, themes, formats, how to, sort of go to the next stage of resolving this or finding a solution. And the third stage is where you actually analyze or create a Canva graphic. Now, this is a no-no. We don't want to use a forward, backward slash, or we want to avoid using and. If you absolutely have to use and in a learning objective, just make it a different learning objective. Next is you are going to build a presentation. You can use PowerPoint, Google Slides, Canva, your choice. And so you'll build that presentation. And I would highly recommend to keep the presentation to 7 to 10 slides if you are presenting a 10-minute talk. So accordingly, think about how you would, build content for a presentation. Now, if you need help, again, please reach out to the SMAC core team. We're more than happy to help you with that. The greatest known fear of humans is public speaking, or the second greatest fear humans have is public speaking. Now, that's, I think, a great segue in the introduction that you will start with as you're teaching learners and say, hey guys, do you know which is the greatest fear humans ever have? Well, they give you answers: water, sky, darkness, and you'll say, no, actually it is public speaking. So I, as a presenter, I wish I know the source of where you got that from. So if you can provide that source, I'm more confident as I present and say, that is man's greatest fear, and it's according to the World Health Organization or according to the American Psychological Association. 95%, I'm just giving you a number, 95% of people have said that their greatest fear is public speaking. Thank you, and all the very best. I'm very excited for this design sprint that we're embarking on. I think we're on the Agile model here. Thank you, everyone.